So in theory, we're live. Who knows? Esme's in the chat, so Esme, let me know. So who knows? Esme knows. Hello everyone, I'm Alan, and this is the open source team at Anchore. We've got Alex there, Chris, and Dan, and Keith, and no Will today because he's having bad internet karma for whatever reason. I don't know what it is. But you've got us, which is good enough. And we do this every Thursday, and we go through open issues and pull requests and discuss the technology in the open source world built by Anchore. Mostly Syft and Grype, but we also talk about all the other bits and pieces that make up that whole ecosystem. Thank you for joining us. We had a community meeting as well as this live stream. We also have a community meeting every 2 weeks on a Thursday, 3 hours ago as we record this, I think. And it's a open meeting. Anyone is welcome. The details you'll find if you go to the Syft repo. It's probably the easiest place to find it, weirdly. We should make that more obvious. Right down the bottom down here is team meetings. There's a calendar that tells you when they're going to be. The agenda is a Google Doc that you can request access to by joining this group, and then you can put things in there that you want to talk about. And we had some people turn up and talk, and we got some really good feedback, really good discussions. Like nearly went over time. It was really good, and it was lovely to actually some people, you know, face to face, as it were, through a camera and thousands of miles. But I find those like super valuable for like reinforcing those relationships with the people who are at the other end of a GitHub pull request or issue. So yeah, that was really, really good. I enjoyed that. I think you guys did as well, right?
Indeed. No, it's definitely a good one. So I agree. Lots of great questions today.
Yes. So do we have anything on the list for today? There's a few topics that I can pluck from various places, but if you guys have got anything you want to talk about, we can do that first.
I think plug away right now for what you have. I don't have anything off the top of head.
Yeah, and I actually didn't make the last one, so there might be a couple that stuck out, but I don't know if you guys chatted about it last time, so I'd say go for the plugs first.
Okay, so first thing I wanted to mention is we have a discourse, and there are some threads here, interesting threads that I don't know if we've got conclusions on. These ones here. Draw attention to these. I think this one is actually a closed. That's all answered, is it? Brilliant. Nice one. This one, this is you. Alex, this is an announcement. So what's going on here then?
So yesterday we had, it wasn't an outage of any data, but it was, so we have overrides to the NVD data that we curate and apply on top of what we get from NVD. And yesterday, DB did not have any of those applied. So it was about 15,000 records that like were either missing CPEs or other auxiliary information that helps on matching. So yesterday, there's some folks that started to notice this and started to say like, hey, is there something going on? Because it really wasn't obvious that there was any issue. So I wanted to at least like put something out there on Discord saying, hey, there was an issue. It was the state. It's been remediated. So. Yeah, I think it's all to say. Sweet.
I do love that when people spot problems with the Grype database, they're very quick to tell us, which is, satisfying to know that they're using that data. And when there's a problem, they will tell us very promptly, which is really good. So we do appreciate that. Right, that was that one. Right, a question we have. Should I create a template or just post-process to get an SPDX SBOM containing pearls only? So there's a question from one of our users on Discourse. It's only posted 3 hours ago, so I'm not surprised nobody saw it because you've all been in meetings. I'll post it on chat.
I would definitely say not to make a template for SPDX. So probably the post-process thing would be the way to go there.
Oh, do they just want to rip out CPEs, or do they want to rip out additional things, or anyone's guess, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I think the trick is like making it compliant.
Right.
Yeah, like, so if it's like about ripping out as much information as possible, like, don't need licenses, don't need CPs, et cetera. Like there's going to be some fields where it's like, hey, it still should be compliant. So I'm kind of curious if it really is in the theme of how small can I make an SBOM, then can I only have pearls? Yeah, I guess I've done. Say again?
There's a Perl list format.
Yeah.
If you really just want pearls, they don't even need a real SBOM.
Yeah, I honestly, I found more use case of that. I kind of want to make certain moving forward that we can interrupt that in more places, because like just being able to slurp in a Perl list and so actually I haven't kept up with that feature set. Can we today with Syft convert take a list of pearls and encode an SPDX document? Like that's
Good.
not a thing yet, right? We
Yeah,
can?
we can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Ah, cool. That's something I actually wanted to do the other day and I just didn't go and try it. So today I learned.
Yep. I mean, it works reasonably well. The thing about the pearls is that it does have the package ecosystem as part of the Perl, which is, as long as we have that, we sort of actually get reasonably good results at the end.
Sweet.
I mean, foreshadowing a little bit, like we're going to be looking at so we have these quality gates in testing out in Grype, Vuln Scanner, and Funnel, the project that's responsible for slurping in all the Vuln data and putting it into an intermediate format. There's quality gates in both of those repos that they're driven off of like full SBOMs and comparing those. It's always for entire images, and so that's one of the annoyances, that it's always a full image that you need to like have data for and label, etc. Moving forward, we're probably going to change the unit of work there to be like a Perl or set of pearls, instead of needing an entire SBOM per se. Some of the details need to get figured out for that, but that should make a lot of these quality gates that take a long time to run. This should make it a lot faster to run in theory, if you really just have the minimal set of pearls that you need to like prove that matching is working as we'd expect. So just another one of those use cases where it's like,
sorry, what is the time consuming part of that? The I see, right, because it's doing all of the providers.
And it depends which repo we're talking about. So like here in Funnel, the time consuming part for this is actually pulling all of the data from upstream, processing it, and creating a small database for each one of these. So like this is going to always take time to do. But even then, there's, I think within any one of these, it still takes like something like 5 minutes or 7 minutes to run the quality gate. And in actuality, for a lot of these, it should be like under a minute. Like the fact that it's taking this long is for these contrived reasons. Like either the tooling isn't doing the right thing under the hood and needs to be made more performant, or the storage backend for the labels, like the source of truth for what is the true positive and the false positive, those are being stored ineffectively, or and again, like the unit of input is like the big thing. Like we have some of these images that like we had to label 200 things, and in actuality, we really only cared about 7 or 8 of these packages in order to get the ecosystem right. And it's the base image that's pulling in all these extra labels, and we really should just delete those images, not use them, and just focus on the pearls that really express the matching behavior we're trying to test. Like, if it's a Java ecosystem and I pull like in a Red Hat image, then like I don't need all the RPMs. I just need the Java packages. So, and part of this is like making smaller images, but in some cases it's hard to do that. So it's
where else is the quality gate other than in Funnel?
It's in Grype too. So they test slightly different things. For Funnel, it's about testing that we're able to create a database and with the same version of Grype, so that Grype off of main, OSS database from last night, and this new custom database based off of whatever's on main on Funnel, that we made a database based off of that data from that branch from Funnel. They either behave similarly or the new stuff behaves better. For Grype, it's a little different. We pin the database and we change the software version. So like it's Grype at latest release versus Grype at main or Grype at your PR branch. So they at a high level they do the same thing. They take labels, so a source of truth of what we expect to see, and compare it against a run, or I guess a run compared against the labels, in order to get some score between 0 and 1. Is it doing better or is it doing worse? And we compare that against either different software versions or different database builds, depending on which repo we're talking about.
Cool. I don't think I had anything else to mention. Do we have any triaging to do? Do we have any needs discussion?
I had one small announcement. If you're a user and you are running Syft's CycloneDX output through the CycloneDX validator, there's a case where you could get a quote invalid document if you have a SMAIL GPL license. If you go to the discourse, Alan, we highlighted this a little bit earlier this week. I think it's at the top of the topics. Yeah. Anything that says invalid in it. No. SBOM, Anchore, CycloneDX files. Yeah, that one. Okay. So we thought we might have been doing something incorrectly with the formatting of SPDX expressions here, but it actually turned out you can find at the bottom of this. I've linked the issue against the CycloneDX CLI. They don't consume the latest license list from SPDX at runtime during the validation. They have it baked in to the tool, and they haven't done a release in a while. So there's a couple of like backed up PRs there that when those do get merged in and they release a new version of the CLI, you will see a latest updated license list. Syft is kind of ahead of the curve here. We consume the latest, which we generated on the 12th. I don't think a new one has generated. We have an automatic bot that basically when a new SPDX license list goes out, we just create an automatic pull request and pull in the new ones. So if you do see this, there's a couple ways to fix it that are outlined in the discourse thread. But if you need any questions, just tag me. You can tag me on this thread. We've already filed an issue about it, so you should see a fix for this coming down the pike soon. Not from our end, but from the CLI validator tool. We are correct.
I see. That's right. Okay. Yeah. At their end. Okay. I clicked the wrong link. No, I clicked the wrong thing. Okay. So we've got an issue on our side as well, or is this just?
We don't know. The only point on our side is the discourse, because it would be incorrect to file a bug on our side because there's no bug in Syft for this.
Mm-hmm.
It's just someone said, "Hey, why is Syft generating invalid documents?" We wanted to let people know we did the investigation. They're not invalid. It's this license. It's being worked on for the validator side. You will see it in the new release work.
Got it. Nice. Anyone else got anything else? There's a lot of like PSAs today. Any more PSAs for anyone? Right. Where am I going? I don't know what I'm doing. There we go. Needs discussion? Anyone? Bueller? Ooh. Have we discussed this one? 11 hours ago, I think unlikely. So,
drop the press.
This is Syft 4209. Not if we're doing a 24/7 live stream as the issues come in. Yeah, that's not happening. So, I would like to track my GitHub Actions workflows in SBOM. Don't we already do this?
I think we do, but I'm trying to make certain I understand it's exactly what they're asking for. They're saying, I have GitHub Actions, I have workflows, and I have actions that are being used in those workflows. I want an SBOM that represents the workflow and the actions being used. In which case we do that. today. Something I'm missing out of here.
So if I do a Syft, I don't know, work Anchore Syft, there's GitHub Actions in there, aren't there?
Yeah, you definitely might want to point out your .github directory is going to come out with everything.
Yeah, the Syft SBOM is one of the gnarlier SBOMs, which is nice. It's good. Like dogfooding Syft on Syft gives a lot of cool like edge cases because we have all the test fixtures. So like doing a dir against it, we see a lot of the things that we include in it, which is nice. But yeah. Bang.
So yeah, we do have some GitHub Actions.
And also look down below you. There's also GitHub Action workflow. There we go, towards the bottom of your screen. So like the workflows are also captured as nodes.
So what are we not doing? There, if our uses action / checkout, that's how we use these action / checkout. V1 2 3 4. That's exactly what we have here. Do we? There's not some exception that we don't put these in SPDX or don't put them in CycloneDX. They're only in the Syft format or something.
I think also before we even get to the formats, if you go back to the issue, there's a transitive ask that I don't think we do. It uses GitHub Actions checkout. I get on an SBOM that contains this action and which actions in turn it contains. So we definitely don't go that far where we would like find that it's checkout, go clone the checkout repo down, and then scan its GitHub folder and see if there's any like that it does. And that's like, I'm not trying to solution, I'm just saying like that's one way. But I'm not sure if that's what they're asking, but that's kind of what the gist I get from that sentence before we get into the format side of it.
Yeah, and there's like multiple dimensions there too, right? There's like if it's a composite action of actions versus like it's just an action that's JavaScript. Thus it's not about getting other actions, it's about getting the JavaScript dependencies in there.
Yeah, because there's a lot of different ways that people build, and then there's the hybrid approach, Alex, which is a composite of them into a custom thing that is like scanning and doing. You basically do the scan of the GitHub directory and you do the scan of the dir that is the package lock JSON or yarn lock JSON, and then you generate the full SBOM for that thing. And you kind of recurse until you can't hit the bottom anymore, until you get to the last JavaScript package, left pad or whatever people use.
And there are container actions.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, okay, let's talk through this one. This one's kind of fun. So like so classically Syft is all about point Syft at an artifact to get a thing. But we also support, of course, source repos, and source repos, like if you point it at a requirements txt, we'll do our best, but we're not going to get everything out because technically nothing's there. The container image or a jar, et cetera, like this is something that's been built. We're trying to describe what's there. For a source repo, a lot of the assets are not there yet. It's about an intent to install software later. So it might not even be that the final versions or final packages have been decided yet. So this is kind of in that latter vein where I can detect, a repo at a tag or a container image at a tag. And this feels like it's like, well, download all of the assets to go and like scan multiple assets. Is this multiple SBOMs? No, I mean, it should still be one SBOM.
Yeah, it's one document, and it's one document of like. I think the hybrid approach is interesting to me because it's like you outlined, like the package lock and all that is the promise to install something, like when it's assembled and built and ready to go to be used. But the actions, like let's say, okay, so you have one side, which is the program, the promise of installing all these other transitive packages. The front load of that, which maybe it's a combined bit of like GitHub Actions, there's no like promise to install things there. It's just, that's its own thing that could have an entry in the GitHub, like the GHSA database, right? But then also, do you have to do transitive dependencies of a GitHub action if the record in the GHSA for vulnerability scanning is being keyed off of the presence of like a dependency in that package? Like, because it's not like it's not like someone says, "Oh, we have a vulnerability against like this transitive of a transitive thing," and then the record for the GitHub action doesn't get created. Like usually there's a link where someone sees this thing is vulnerable, therefore your thing is vulnerable, therefore we're going to create the entry for both the action and the underlying package that infects it. So I'm kind of stretching as to like why we want to do that full graph of an action.
I think
Yeah,
it kind of boils down to what the user wants, right? I mean, I think there are a lot of cases where people don't want that, and a lot of cases where people do want that. And then also, like, where do you stop? And then there's like another aspect, which is one of the SPDX3 sort of, or actually even SPDX2 things, which is like references to remote documents, right? So like one way that if everything in the entire world had an SBOM, for example, you could have an SBOM for the composite action that references a bunch of other remote documents somewhere else. And then you could build up your graph as much as you need, but you definitely still need to go and fetch as much stuff as you need to answer the questions that you have. And maybe those questions are, do I have anything that makes me vulnerable? In which case you sort of do need to go download the NPM dependencies, check the container type action images and all that type of stuff too. So I think there are use cases for all of those.
for a JavaScript, so for a action that's written in TypeScript JavaScript, there's usually a checked in dist directory. Is that include the node modules?
Yes.
So if like, yeah, that's what I thought. So like, this is kind of even funnier, right? Like you could think as the repo as the artifact to scan. It's not actually, it's a merging of like both the source repo and all of your installed dependencies, which is different from what we typically think of a source repo. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
We really could just clone and scan and get something that's somewhat accurate. Oh, but we'd have to change the catalogers. No. Actually, I'd have to go back and look at the catalogers, what we have for the directory scan.
Well, we'd have to run a separate cataloging on a new directory that we've cloned somewhere else, right? Because like we wouldn't be cloning something into the existing file index that we already built from the original checkout. We'd
Agreed.
have something somewhere else. So we would have to run multiple instances of it to get a bunch of packages, link them all back together, in the right way, that type of thing.
I know, I totally agreed. What I was trying to say was so say that they're doing a source. So say they're doing a directory scan and they're pointing it at a workflow. Well, where you have all of the directory catalogers enabled. Now, say we were to go and download that GitHub action, which has the dist directory, which has all of the node modules. Well, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I need to go look at the default set of catalogers, but for the catalogers for directory scan, they're not going to honor like the node module directory. It's either like the package JSON or the package lock JSON. Like one of those catalogers is not included in the directory scan, but it is for an image scan. So we would want to treat the scan for that GitHub Actions repo as if it was an image scan, I think. So we'd need a different set of catalogers. Am I crazy? Am I making this up? I could be.
I think it's even stranger than that, because I think it probably would have a package lock, and it would have the node modules directory sometimes. But then another very common way, what we do in our own actions is we use something that basically does a Webpack build, doesn't actually have any node modules in there either. Like in that case, it would be just the package lock that you'd be able to read to get the information, unless we could like disseminate the Webpack bundle somehow, which we can't do today. Yeah, this is an interesting one.
Yeah.
My head goes in a funny direction, which is like, you guys know about the ACT tool, like the way to do like a local action. It has some interesting subcommands, like download everything needed for this action to run, and then you can scan that. I mean, but that's like maybe that would be a way to go about at any point in time, if you want the full set of software, instead of trying to navigate through all of the metadata, actually use a tool like this to fetch all of the software itself and then generate an SBOM off of that combined. Might be a way to consider doing something like this.
Yeah. I mean, because that's the part I was struggling with.
Yeah.
Still am, I guess, is the like, because we have this issue for like the Syft being able to do online actions, including showing out to tooling. And I think the easy workaround for now would be Dan, what you're saying. I was like, well, have this other tool act, prepare a directory for you, and then just invoke Syft as it is today. Maybe you might need a different cataloger selection, but like, and maybe there's some bugs to work out based off of like Keith, what you're saying in terms of like, well, it's both you're going to find both like the top level package lock, and you're also going to find everything in the node modules directory. But I mean, there's that, but there's also say one day we get to the point where we want to shell out to ecosystem specific tooling, like being able to invoke Maven to find the exact versions that are not locked for your current Java project configuration. When you're generating an SBOM, you don't have an artifact yet. Well, for Maven, that's a little more straightforward, right? So I can kind of imagine like, okay, run this Maven command, get some results, embed that into the SBOM. This one's like it's weirder. It's like, well, use something that is not standard ecosystem tooling like ACT or something else to prepare a directory to then scan. So like it's harder for me to imagine like how that would be, how you would do that, or if it would be okay to assume that we should run those things. And maybe it's a better way to say it.
Yeah, to have Syft do that, I think is complicated because, like, to an earlier point, it can be a container image. Like, it's not just a directory of software. Like, Act will grab some containers, it'll grab some software, it'll grab all sorts of stuff to prepare a local environment to like execute the full action locally. There's a lot of different types of material.
I have an idea. I mean, we have a GitHub action ourselves, SBOM action and scan action, and they run at the time, like when inside the environment where an action is being run, in order to scan the artifact that's generated by the action. It's not to scan the action, it's to scan the artifact that's generated generally, right? Or whatever's built. Is there any way in which we could have Syft in a mode that is running in the container, like have it as like a post step after each step of the action or after each job within the action that scans the actual directory itself? Because there you're actually scanning the real place where the actions are running while they're running or just after they've run, and do an SBOM of that.
Well, and this is like outside of this is a totally different thread, right? Just to make certain, that's about, kind of reminds me of that witness, that tool that is capturing the environment and like what's run and what you're doing in a build job and creating an attestation. But this what you're saying, like tailor it towards like I
mean, it's a bit late, if there's already a vulnerability and you've already run it, but you've already run it anyway. Like, I just wondered if there was an opportunity to scan like at that point.
I guess I missed like what would be the thing that it scans?
The environment that the action is running in, just like you would run you might Syft a virtual machine or a container that is the environment in which the thing runs. You scan the machine, the runner, basically. The whatever it is, home Ubuntu, wherever the code base lands in, the action will be in there, And so will all the code that the action needs, because this is an isolated machine that's running the action. And so all that JavaScript and all the Python and whatever other nonsense that gets pulled in and all of their dependencies will be there because it had to be there for it to run successfully.
The trick with the runners, I'll say, is that they are pretty big. Got a little smaller recently, but like I remember there was the GitHub folks, they approached us and said, "Hey, we want to use Syft to generate SBOMs for the runner images," but they did that by like standing up a VM and then doing a directory scan at root, and it was taking like 2 days, I think, to scan. So we found a bug and like we worked together to like remediate it, and it was down to like hours, but at the same time it was a long time to run because there's so much stuff and so many things that were there. So that would be the next problem. Like, in other words, if you're doing a directory scan, like it's an unindexed file system. So the second that you ask the question, find me anything at star.js, well, you need to build an index of that entire file system in order to find out where anything that ends in .js exists. So like the indexing takes so long. That's like the one wrinkle so far in something like that.
I agree. It is a challenge for sure. I just thought that would be another way rather than trying to stand it up locally, like just do it where it's doing it. There is indeed an awful lot inside a runner. Like there's a ton. My good friend Martin made an action called Nothing But Nix because he wanted to use a GitHub runner to do Nix builds. And so he made this thing that strips out everything that's shipped in a runner, like literally everything, so that he could just use it for the Nix store in /Nix, because he runs out of disk space when he's building images and stuff. And so he wrote this, and it literally strips the world out of these. And it's pretty quick at doing it, but it just highlighted to me how much stuff is in a runner without your action even running.
Nothing But Nix brutally purges unnecessary software. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, giving you a lot of space. So yeah, there's a lot of files in those runners. Yeah.
So because we've run into that problem before, where like we would start running out of space in a runner, then we'd consider, like, we eventually just like bumped the runner size and said, yeah, for these we need them to be larger. But dude, there was some points where we were saying, oh, we'll go delete a bunch of files, and then it made us chuckle, and we realized, like, oh wait, so we're going to pay for CPU to delete files to then go install something. And we stopped doing it. But like this case, it makes sense because you have so much space you're trying to get back for a job that you have to do.
And so you're never going to use any of those tools. You're never going to use the Python or the Java, the NPM or any of that, because all you're doing is building packages for a completely different ecosystem. Anyway, have we rat-holed that one enough?
I feel like the first sentence, it might be worth responding here to just show, like, we do have some support, just to make sure that the user knows that there is some support for GitHub Actions and GitHub Action workflow. And I love the example of, like, Syft dir Syft/.github. Like that way you can get a really concise, like, here's what you see. And that's at least, I feel like that first sentence is accommodated by what the tool already provides. Then it gets into the next one and next one, where there's a little bit of speculation about how far down the transitive dependency graph the use case is going.
But also, we're also, like, with posting it and saying, hey, we can target the .github folder and generate this SBOM for the actions. Like, we do generate matches against the GitHub advisory database right now for GitHub Actions. Now, there's only 36 records, but like, you have one of them, we will find it. Like, with the current setup, we will find it. So like, I think that goes even more like to the PSA, like, kind of announcement nature of the things. Like, if you see that there's a vulnerability in one of these actions, then if tools are not getting to the transitive dependencies of them, it might sometimes just be worth, like, filing a GHSA and just say, like, hey, this is vulnerable because of this. Because then if you do get the top level identifier right? Then people can see that that version has a problem and needs to be bumped, or the maintainer or someone who's responsible for that software has to go about doing the work to get it ahead of the curve, or you have to fork it, update the dependency, and do your own version of it. But it gives the signal that something is amiss.
Could someone craft a happy reply in here while we move on to the next one?
Sure.
Chris?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Oh.
Right. Should we grab another one?
Let's do it.
Yes.
Oh, this gives me an opportunity to say ZSH instead of whatever it is you guys say. Sorry, not sorry.
What's the animal stripes, Alan?
Zebra. What? It's like, oh dear me! Don't start. Right. Completion fails. I tried advanced. Blah 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 blah. Yeah. I've noticed this. Tab completion doesn't work on Grype, so you can't auto complete. I don't think this is just ZSH either. I think it's a Grype thing.
Let's see. Cool.
Because if I go into work Anchore and then I go Grype, well, obviously I can do that, but
yeah,
what
we should buff up the completion stuff anyway. I mean, because I don't think so. Syft doesn't do tab completion for like container images, and it would be great to like wire that up, so that it would. Right now, our default is whenever you put something in, like we assume unresolved strings or container images. It might be okay. Like, hey, if you give a string new tab, like, show directories, show container images, and let folks arrow between it. But there's a way to interrupt that. Oh, we get all this completion functionality from Cobra, by the way, and I believe there are hooks to like customize that to get it from different sources. And I haven't looked at that in probably 4 or 5 years, so it might be something we could look at.
is Cobra one of our
we're
things?
already here.
Is that
No.
It's a
No, that's the SBF 13 repo. It's very popular CLI parsing lib for and for Go library, that is, I should say. That's the one. So yeah, stars, 41,000 stars. Yeah, it's
holy cow.
used in a few places. But yeah, our stuff wraps this. So we are big fans of Cobra. It's just got a ton of functionality and a lot of folks that are using it and adding things to it. So
yes, interesting. Okay, so what's the answer? We need to investigate why this is broken. Basically, yes, you're right. It is a bug.
I don't know how it's broken, but I'm just saying it's probably a good time if we're going to be in the depths of this code anyway to think about how to extend it to these other custom functionalities, because it would be nice. It's something that I think would be, I'm going to say, small to medium lift to do. If we made some assumptions up front that like, hey, we'll check only Docker and the directory, like if it's not there, we won't do anything, that kind of stuff.
Nice. Okay. Well, that needs investigation then. Are there any more of these that are? That one's old. That one's. What's going on there? Oh, didn't we discuss that already?
That one. Yeah, we pontificated on this one, but we didn't have a answer. This is, correct me if I'm wrong, the 504s that folks were getting. Am I making that up?
I think so. Yeah, it's right there at the end.
Oh,
This
and we
is
were
Jonas,
just.
the chap
It
who
is.
was,
We were just chatting with him. We should
yeah.
have asked him today in the. Yeah. Okay. Well, if he's back next time, we'll ask him if how many times he saw this.
The good news
Because-
is I suspect it's not that prevalent, seeing as he didn't mention it in
That's right.
there. So
Right. He definitely would have probably brought that up first. Okay. So, oh yeah, that was a good one.
Okay, so there's nothing we have on that one. I mean, do we want to? Are there any questions we want to ask?
I mean,
I think we came to the conclusion we could do a couple things to try to mitigate this. If memory serves, it was we could potentially retry one time if people seem to think that was an okay thing to do and it wouldn't DOS the service. And then the other thing was adding our own sort of Go timeout in addition to this HTTP timeout was the other thing. So I can update this with those
Nice.
suggestions. I don't think there was any other conclusions that we had.
No.
I might just want to ask him how often he's seeing this. Is this like more than once? Because I remember like the discussion when we chatted about this last time. It was like, well, in what way was this not honoring this timeout? And is this, because if this is happening more than just a couple of times, then it is something that we should focus on the near term as opposed to the long term. So
We also had another one yesterday. No. Oh. Has it been closed? I think we might have. Yeah, that one. This one, they got a net HTTPS handshake timeout. And I pinged them and, asked them for a bit more detail. And then, like a little while later, it started working again.
CDN something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They said
it's so hard to
2 hours
troubleshoot.
later. Some people don't want to reveal like network infrastructure like details, so I put my email address in there. But I clicked through and found the person had a Telegram account. You can probably guess where they are in the world given that and their name. So I pinged them on Telegram and said, look, if there's any details you don't want to share like in a public place, then feel free to we'll try and look them up in Cloudflare or CDNs or whatever and see where. But they said no, it just carried on working, and then the next day I get a ping, yeah, it's broken again. And so this could be their end, like some thing on their end, but they need to do some investigation a little bit more and do a bit more digging to find out what's going on. But it doesn't. I went and looked on our CDN traces, and I couldn't see mass problems at the same time as them. So a mystery.
I will say, anytime the TDN is involved, it does take an extra day than I expect to be able to gather the right information, other than the dashboard and Cloudflare. So it's because I remember one time it was me and somebody else here on the East Coast, everything was fine, but then folks on the West Coast was it's taking about 100 times longer. It was okay, I guess I need to go stand up a VM in the right region. Hopefully that will go to the right instance in Cloudflare where I'll hit it.
Sweet. So add weakness information from MVD. I think we've already talked about that one. Did we not put anything?
There's a PR for this one. I think if I remember, I haven't looked at the PRs in a little while, but I think when we were talking about it on the call, we're saying there's an easy way and a slightly harder but probably better way to do this. And the last time I checked the PR, it was doing it the easy way, but we really wanted to make a whole other table that pulls in these CWEs such that we can cross-correlate these CWEs with multiple providers. So I just have to go back to that PR and see if it's still doing the same thing it had been doing.
Sweet.
Oh. No.
Cool. There's a whole bunch of .NET stuff going on here. Have we looked at
Yeah.
this already? What's going on there?
We have 23 pages to look through to figure out the .NET stuff.
Well, so I
remember
wasn't
now.
there.
Yeah, sorry.
I wasn't there at triage. Like, what was the what was
For
the story there?
context, we looked at these in triage yesterday, and we don't fully understand the ecosystem of, .NET is old and has changed a few times, and the way like dependencies are described and what's inside the the SDK is different from one year to the next. And so we thought, well, wonder if our good old friend, the excitable intern, could help us. So I asked the question, pressed the research button, and Google Gemini came back with, as Keith says, like a 23-page document that doesn't actually tell us the answer. So yeah, maybe not.
Was the question like Syft based, or was it like just .NET based? Was it trying to answer a question about .NET in general, or was it trying to answer a question about what Syft assumes with .NET things?
Well, now you're asking. I've got to go and find that document now, haven't I?
I've got I just pulled it up.
I thought it was about just trying to understand the intricacies of .NET in some sort of a meaningful way.
I will say, like, that was like getting the .NET stuff on this third iteration. It was a lot of like, what does this mean for .NET? What are all the ways it can be deployed? And it was deep. It was a deep dive. Is opening up like CLR source code to like understand, like, is this really how it works? So, oh yeah, Chris.
No, I liked the title of one of these where it says it's too precise, and there's like a suggestion of how semvers are being rounded, and it's just a concept I've never encountered before. Where it's just like, yeah, like Syft is showing the DLL version of this, and all you have to do is round the number to the nearest semver, and I'm like, those two concepts don't compute. Like, so I'm trying to like make sense. I really appreciate the issue, because whenever I see something that's too precise, I'm like, the words too precise are like the immediate nerd snipe of like, no way. Like, what are we doing that is like so close to the grain that we're like not touching the actual vulnerability record of like what the version of this thing is? And so that one stuck out to me. Sorry.
So yeah, I have no idea if this is any use whatsoever, or if it's just, like, I need to pass this through another AI and get it to summarize it or something. I don't know. But,
I skimmed through it myself. I didn't find any of the answers I was looking for. I will say that.
What's of those other .NET issues? Which one of those was like the most interesting, or the ones that was the most head scratching, or?
Well, I think we sort of got in to the same one that you and I talked about maybe a week prior, where there's like a runtime section that something or other that says like, oh, these DLLs are going to be provided at runtime in some cases. And so like there were like two of those that were not the same. I think I ended up closing one because we had more information in the other, but yeah.
Yeah. And I think we came out of that with a suggestion, like a possible suggestion. I remember the comment was left, and I don't know where that went. Let me see if I can find the issue.
there, it's on 4166.
Yep.
4166.
Yep. Alex's comment right there. And then if you scroll down there, he highlighted the line right there. Yes, that type runtime pack detail is the one thing that looks promising to be able to solve this question.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the code like filters out to things that are only prod. No, I don't think it does, actually. I think we might be ignoring that type field. So this would be hopefully a very light lift if it really is this. And it looks like we have a soft head nod this is correct. So
Sorry, a soft head nod.
from from Wes here. I don't actually see a head nodding. It just looks like, yep, it looks good to me. So superficial check.
I have never heard that phrase, and that is going in the notebook. That is.
That's odd. It's usually the other way around.
Yeah,
You know,
it's
for
that,
me,
exactly as Dan, like microphone off, like a few pixels, I can just about make out a soft head nod.
yeah.
Is it because it's like, is it the speed at which the head is nodding, or is it the range at which you use the head?
Yes, and
Yeah.
the frame rate doesn't help either, or the number of pixels. Oh gosh, what is going on here? Okay, so we don't need to look at that then, I guess.
There's one.
We're solving that one.
There's one that we can probably do pretty quickly. It was the cycle JSON metadata. That's a really good like suggestion from Wes on how to use metadata.component for cyclone.dx, which we just would switch on the package type when we do the encoder, and we say, hey, are you .NET with this metadata? Great. Send this information right into this part of the metadata component. Like I don't think, like of all the low-hanging fruit, this is one that we can just knock out and do.
I will say tip of the hat to Wes on like these issues. These have been like really like well written issues that like, because I mean the depth JSON gets a little dense, and so I'm actually really happy that it's like, okay, it's this part of the depth JSON, this part of the depth JSON. So thank you, Wes.
Nice.
And I agree, Chris. I think we'll probably pull this through.
Yeah, like there's also the range of complexity that was covered with these was nice, because like there's ones that we actually like should discuss and do on, but there's like ones that are just like thumbs up, this is ready, like we can get this in.
Nice.
Do we have any here that are like for those other two?
I'm reading them right now. I have no comments yet.
Alan, that one that you were just on, do you think good first issue? Probably. It looked like it was a small change. Maybe
I could add good first issue.
Thank you.
Yeah, the encoder and decoder packages are a nice little toe dip, like 3 foot, no deep end work. I thought we had this, but maybe this is just always done. Because you can just, if you disable this binary cataloger, that's the whole the binary cataloger is the whole thing that reads everything into the reader and does the scan. So
I mean, so there it is a combined cataloger. So this cataloger, let me pull it up to make sure I'm not lying. But my recollection is that we have combined the.
Oh, it's yeah. Is it? No, I think this one is like, it's like the Go module one, but this one is like, we have a Go binary cataloger that you can just turn off, but then there's like one that invokes the .NET like tooling, and then the other one that actually just does the superficial parsing. But none of those actually, I think the binary is separate from those two, but I'm gonna look too.
Yeah, so there are 4 catalogers. There is one that is looking at packages.lock.json for the .NET ecosystem. That one we're just going to totally ignore.
Yep.
There's 2 that are deprecated. These 2, one was the deps.json, and the other one was the like portable executable, like the DLL cataloger, essentially.
Oh, the deps binary cataloger is the new merged one. Yeah,
exactly. They're combined. So this one is actually reasoning about both the deps.json and PE files.
Yeah.
But let me take a look. I thought there is a config. There is a config. But okay, so we can update this config to such that you can turn off like the DLL processing. I think that would be an easy path forward
to that code.
Yeah, let me pull that up now.
The cataloger config. Depths package must have DLL. Yeah, none of these, I'm looking at these values now. None of them would turn off that code path. They always still actually will hit it. Config DLL.
Let's see, we have 4 options today. And I think none of them do what he's asking. So
Yeah,
here is, say again?
I literally was just looking at where all these are like checked in the path, and none of them. We're always taking the performance hit, so it would be a new one.
Yeah, so here are the links. But yeah, I think it's really adding a new config option to the existing struct. So like how this would convey for a Syft user is it would be in your Syft.yaml, you would add a new value underneath the like, package cataloger like .NET. That would be just for like turning on or off like DLL processing. So we have these options. These are like subtle options for how to treat claims between DLLs and deps.json, but there isn't an option of what he's asking, which is like, hey, I don't want to ever look at a DLL because it costs too much. Like, and I definitely get that. A lot of this work, when working on the catalogers this last time, was to make it more performant and make it eat less memory when it was doing so, make it be a little faster. So, but I mean, there was one project starts, I think Roslyn, or actually, I think we even like scanned the SDK itself. I mean, it had thousands of DLLs, and
Took a while.
it took about a minute or a minute and a half to do, but it was way better than what it was doing earlier.
So this one there's 3 million pulls of this one from the Microsoft Artifact Registry. It was just the first one I picked. And yeah, it has, I mean, it took a minute and a half to run that the first time. And it's like, I mean, there's devs in it. Okay. And Java and .NET and loads
.NET,
and
yeah.
loads and loads of .NET, stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to forget this one this time. I want to include an option where you can sort by the package type and then do the alphabetical, like as the secondary, so that because there was an issue at the bottom where like some of the debs and .NETs were mixed together based on like what the package name was, and I think when we're doing stuff like this, it would help to filter it down that way.
I mean, I think we're at this point. So I think Grype's actually pushing to pushing this one where we want more table configurations, not to make it like the table totally configurable, like you put anything on the table that you want, but like of things that are there, being able to see it differently or filter it differently or group things differently. So it's like Grype is in need of that, and I think whatever we do in Grype in terms of table, we should definitely like port back to Syft. And so if we do it in Syft first, then great. But like we might want to look at both of those together.
And definitely add some additional things that aren't on by default, like locations. That is like one that's been requested a whole lot.
I'm just saying,
Looks
the
like-
bubble tea table interactive output is like quite pretty, and
But there be dragons.
Well, there is that option. You're right, Alan. Like, I mean, it's separate from like having a table that you can like, grab nicely, but like, it is. We have before asked ourselves, would we like to add an interactive feature to Syft and Grype to like be able to look at the output and explore it and filter it, et cetera, and then optionally persist it, like save it off to like a whatever format you want. We haven't done that yet, but it's definitely come up a few times, and I would be excited to do that.
yeah.
I'm the naysayer on that one just because I think there's a lot of extra complexities that come with maintaining the interactive table side of things. You can get like really bogged down in that just becoming the whole life of the project. But like the
You're
more
not wrong.
Say again.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, the additional complexity of that into tools sometimes just like becomes its own thing. But I mean, it's fine. It's fine either way.
No. Like so I mean, so like when I was working on Dive, like there's two parts to it, right? There's like the analysis portion, which is like, you know, run a container image, figure out like what's overlapping, find some efficiency score. You think that would be the hard part. No. That's like 100 lines of code. Like there is another 6,000 lines of code that is just like the TUI. It's like anytime you get into like an interactive TUI, it's gonna be more code than you think. Like even with Bubble Tea, I really like Bubble Tea, but like it's still gonna be a lot more code than you think usually. So yeah, the table component is great though. And we're already using Bubble Tea, so like pulling that in is not like a hard thing per se.
Right. Thank you for that, chaps. We should wrap it up there. It's time to stretch our legs, go outside, and look at the sky. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you again next time with more wishful thinking about user interface design and also some SBOM and vulnerability software management. Thanks everyone.